We've talked about many different anime creators here on Anime Abandoned. Some good, some bad, but none I would consider as storied or as complicated as the one and only Oda Masanori, better known as Shiro Masamune. We've certainly talked about his work before here on Anime Abandoned, but Ghost in the Shell, the film, is a beast of a different breed than the manga it was based off of. Whereas the plot was mostly the same, the tone was not, as the manga was a much more lighthearted and, to be frank, silly story. The film is what happens when you replace Masamune's cheesecake and cheap yucks with Oshi's dry philosophizing. Talking about Masamune is kind of frustrating because for all the good he's done for the medium, his reputation isn't exactly the most pristine. In the late 80s and early 90s, he created some of the most important and seminal classics of anime culture. Today, he basically draws porn. This turn isn't exactly surprising given that there was always an element of cheesecake in his stories, and personally speaking, I'm not going to chastise a guy just for drawing smut, but it's kind of hard to defend the guy's work when his porn peddling far outweighs the product of his manga. Listen, a lot of legit artists had a side job drawing smut. Joe Shuster, the guy who first drew Superman, drew bondage porn for Tijuana Bibles back in the 30s. Kurt Swan even drew Superman fucking Lois Lane in a Penthouse article back in the 90s. Porn isn't the problem here. It's the guy's lack of restraint. Compounding matters is that the guy hasn't made a new manga in a decade. He skirts by selling his story ideas to Production IG in his pinup books. If the guy wants to rest on his laurels and spend the rest of his days putting his wank material to paper, then he has my blessing. But it's making defending his legacy more difficult than it should be. It's getting to the point that his porn is outnumbering his manga. To say nothing of his unique art style, Masamune is one of those creators whose legacy is going to be undermined by his own libido. I've said it before, and I'll certainly say it again. Tits have a way of making themselves noticed. Still, we're talking about a man's entire career here, and while his current work can't be read in polite public without getting a nice friendly visit from one of your city's finest, his early work is still an important touchstone for many an otaku. Like Odin, today's subject was a staple for sci-fi's anime block, and it introduced many a lonely youth's sexual frustration to the titillating thoughts of catgirls. Yes, today we're talking Dominion Tank Police, one of the most requested pieces of old-school otaku ephemera I've gotten. A 4-episode OVA that takes subtlety by the throat and kicks it screaming out a 50-story window. I'm actually surprised how well Tank Police has aged. And it kicks off with one of the most confusingly awesome theme songs in OVA history. So cheesy, yet so awesome. I swear this song is ripped straight out of a jingle writer's opium nightmare. It sounds like a dance club remix of Crossfire, only better. With only 2 lines of lyrics to work with, we know what the show is about, what the tone of the show is, and what we're gonna hear inside our heads until our last bitter day on Earth. What DuckTales is to the Disney kids, Tank Police is to 30-something otakus. We begin our story in a dystopian future where the atmosphere has been poisoned beyond repair, and it's only through wearing masks that look like horse feeder bags can people survive outside. Crime is rampant and out of control, with only the Tank Police keeping things from getting relatively worse.
You have a duty to everyone, and that includes rapists, murderers, and fairy pinkos.
Don't give me the same crap you feed the press. The thing you really care about is getting reelected. You can't cut out a cancer without spilling a little blood. Would you tell a surgeon to go ahead and operate and then order him to stop while the patient, or in our case the city, dies slowly and painfully of the tumor taking over its guts?
Interesting use of metaphor. Is there any way we can run it into the ground?
I'm simply ordering you to stop doing the operation with a blunt chainsaw.
Chainsaw?
A surgeon operates with a scalpel, which he takes good care to sterilize to prevent unnecessary infection. If he uses a tank, the patient tends to die.
I I resent that. It was you politicians who gave us surgeons those tanks in the first place.
Wait, are you guys officers or surgeons, or are you just written by fanfiction writers? I kid around, but the series really is a darkest black comedy, and it is genuinely funny. When you think about what I said back in my Grave of the Fireflies review about the rebellious youth of Japan back in the 80s, Tank Police takes on a new dimension, a satirical farce about police states and how they can cause more problems than solve. Which explains the massive amounts of collateral damage that Tank Police racks up over the course of the show. Hit it! They're supposed to be the good guys, right? Unlike with most shows of the era, it's quite intentional that the Tank Police cause more damage and harm than prevent it, considering how most every character is a sociopathic idiot. Hell, even the fucking chaplain, who looks eerily enough like Ned Flanders, bets on whether or not a prisoner will talk after being tortured with a grenade in his mouth.
Come on, boy, we've been patient long enough, but you can give him one final chance if you want to. $5 says he won't confess.
$5 says he will.
Now, you might be calling this a massive act of hypocrisy, but does not the Bible say, "Let he who hath without sin cast the first grenade"?
Lieutenant, are we supposed to question suspects this way? Is this by the book, Lieutenant?
Listen, kid, there's two things a policeman needs. He's gotta be smart and he's gotta have balls.
Oh no.
If they can still stand, then you gotta keep pulling the trigger till they lie down.
Oof. I don't know what's worse, having a grenade in your mouth, or knowing where that grenade probably came from.
Right!
That was not a cue to show that clip! It's business as usual for the Tank Police, until the worst possible thing that could happen to a group of men happens to them.
Sir, Officer Leona Ozaki transferred to the Tank Police from the City Motorcycle Headquarters Unit.
They send us a girl!
Gasp! Is nothing sacred? First, they get into our tanks. Then tomorrow, they'll demand equal wages and equal treatment in the workplace. This is the first step towards the matriarchy! Red here's first day looks like it's gonna suck on toast. Not only has she been immediately delegated the position of the entire precinct's Meg Griffin, but a daring heist is being pulled off at this very moment. It seems that a brash android is attempting to steal a hospital's lab experiment, and just when it looks like he's cornered by the SWAT team, Boma here sicks his Catgirl accomplices on them. Truth be told, I never got the appeal of Catgirls. As someone who grew up with cats, every time I see a Catgirl try to act sexy, all I can think of is this. Sorry if I ruined the fantasy for any of you out there, but I just cannot get behind the sexualization of anthropomorphized cats. I think I'm beginning to see where they're coming. Oh, god damn it, brain! What are you trying to do? Give my dick whiplash?
This moment brought to you by Brain Bleach. A brain scrub a day keeps the boner-killing thoughts at bay. Like the time you accidentally saw your grandmother climb into the bath and...
Oh, fuck. by Bennett.
This may be the only time I've ever not been bothered by the sexy lady diversion trope, if only because of how blatant and unapologetic it is. Plus, when else are you going to be able to see twins strip right in front of you? I mean, outside of Cruel Intentions 2. Keep your browser on me, boyo. There's plenty of time to look up Cruel Intentions 2 later. But trust me, though, in the meantime, it's awesome! The diversion seems to work perfectly, and their getaway is all but assured. Until the motherfucking tank police pimps in like they own the joint. Boma and the girls manage to lose them for a moment, but in comes Red to make the save. Jesus! Good going, Annie Oakley! Red here could probably snipe a fly off a dog's ass across a football field. And how does Shithouse II treat her?
Listen, kid, a nice girl like you has no business here. Transfer to the child welfare department where the boys are more your size.
You mean you're throwing me out?
Huh? Wait a minute, it's me who ought to be crying. What have you got to cry about? It's me that lost the tank and no one else has the right to cry!
Way to live up to your name, Shithouse. Luckily, our fiery red warrior bitch doesn't take his copious shit lying down and decides to build her own tank out of the spare parts from the tank she ruined. And what she builds looks like it came straight out of an SNK machine. If there was any other way for Red to endear herself to me, I don't know it. The woman is a goddamn Valkyrie bitch. After 52 episodes of Anime Abandoned, we finally have a female character that's proactive, capable, and most importantly, fun. Ladies, this is everything I find irresistible. Cute, a little crazy, determined, resourceful, and not afraid to flaunt it. There are too many Narus in anime. There's not enough Leonas, or Kusanagis, or Revis for that matter. We need more Valkyrie bitches. No more simpering, wilting flowers that'll break when the stiff breeze of adversity rolls along. We need women with spine. And guns. Lots and lots of guns. And in skin-tight spandex who don't give a shit if their body's on display. They scoff at the high heels built in their hard suits and want to headbutt Sailor Moon right in the fucking nose. They feast off the cocks of lesser men! Wait, what did Boma and the Cat Girls try to steal again?
CO2NH4 twice, whatever that means. 90% purity, the label says. This some kind of new drug?
Nothing new about it. As a matter of fact, it's a batch of urine.
Yeah, did you say urine?
So, Boma and the Cat Girls are literally taking the piss out of them. Yeah, they're trying to steal piss. Because some shady business guy wants them for some creepy reason. This guy must have one hell of a kink because he obviously needs that piss. And is willing to buy Boma and the Cat Girls 2 tanks to help fight the tank police. And another attempt to make off with the Wii. Now, obviously, 2 tanks aren't going to be much of a threat against an entire fleet of tanks. But Boma and the Cat Girls have a secret weapon. One that will turn the tide of battle forever.
Press that red button.
Wait, is it gonna kill everybody?
Press that blue button.
Watch out, missile mines!
Giant inflatable dongs! You heard me. Giant inflatable dongs. There's more phallic symbols here than a David Lee Roth concert. And for some insane reason, It works! The tank police are helpless against the mammoth man-meat. But once again, Red swoops in and saves the day with her little tank that could. Oh, and she names the tank Bonaparte, because... God, I can't believe I'm making this reference. Rainbow Randolph?
Please, it's small, but it's fierce!
Why can't I reference normal shit? With the speed of Bonaparte, Red's able to zip past the dongs faster than Ben Stiller in Something About Mary. Red manages to corner the thieves as they're making the trade with that shady dealer, and even gains some respect from Shithouse II. But she blows them away before they can find out who the guy was working for or what they needed the piss for anyways. I'm sure the mayor is going to have their ass in a sling for this. Here comes the hurricane.
Have you any idea what these damage claims will cost? If I could do it, I'd fire the lot of you and you'd pay all these off personally. Where are we going to get hold of the money to pay? Of course, you never thought of that. It didn't occur to you that if we have to raise taxes, our chances of winning the next election are nil.
Don't you understand the situation the city's in? We're at war!
Be quiet.
Oh snap. Fucking Harry Callahan never threatened his boss with his 44. Much on these nuts. Of course, Red doesn't kill the mayor, she just puts the fear of God in her, letting her know who's the real Valkyrie bitch in town. So that was part 1, a barrel of unbridled, unrestrained fun. And then part 2 happened. Part 2 turns what was a fun, albeit silly show into an overwrought mess. Yes, it got all Masamune on us. It's not the writing that bothers me so much, it's that it betrays the tone of the show and its characters. All of a sudden, Red here has compassion for Boma, basically her sworn enemy? And what about the garbled history that part 2 shoves down our throats? Did we really need to know that Boma here was the subject of some illegal science experiment and that he anguishes over his inhumanity? What is this, Aeon Flux? And don't even get me started on that Greenpeace bullshit. Just like with part 1, part 2 is narratively pointless. But unlike part 1, it's not supposed to be a joke. If you want my advice, skip part 2 and just watch part 1. It's a self-contained story anyway, so it's not like you're going to be missing anything. I might come back to Dominion Tank Police sometime in the future when my betrayal salvos are restocked, but for now, let's leave it at this. Part 2 eats my taint. It's actually apropos that we talked about a female-led anime, because next month here on Anime Abandoned is Women's Month. And we're kicking it off with... Virgin Fleet? Well, that was a good idea while it lasted. Till next time.
Oh God, how can I match that?
Hey everyone, as you no doubt noticed, Anime Abandoned has been getting awesome lately. And that's thanks to me!
Try again!
I mean, that's thanks to you.
Again!
I mean, that's thanks to the engineer.
Oh, I'm sorry. My finger must have slipped. Continue.
Yeah. So, awesome costs money. So give us money.
Bad lunchbox! Like we rehearsed!
But the shocks really hurt.
You'd better run fuck yourself, Snowball. I think I smell bacon.
So yeah, we got a tip jar on the side, and we would really appreciate it if you could donate whatever you can to help the show grow.
Very good.
Bennett and I really want to thank you for helping to make Anime Abandoned what it is today, and we're looking forward to a lot of exciting moments in the future. Follow the link below, chip in if you can, and thanks for watching.